The pressure is on. Just a few races to go in the regular season for the Espeed Contender Series, as the series shifts over to Thunder Valley for the Thunder Valley 200 at Bristol Motor Speedway. For tonight's coverage on RaceSpotTV, it's round number 23 for tonight's action. I'm Justin Prince. Joining me in a few moments is Davis Richards. Also doing the producing for tonight is Hugo Wees, for what should be a wild 200 laps for tonight's action here at Bristol. A lot of drivers trying to continue the momentum from the past couple weeks. The Gen X trucks have been the main focal point as we enter those final couple rounds of the regular season. Just Darlington and Indianapolis just past this before the playoffs begin in Las Vegas on September the 19th. All the trucks are starting to get themselves ready to go, try and get those extra bonus points. Let's look at your standings. 8 drivers have locked themselves into the championship for the playoffs, with victories. Sean Powell, Malik Ray, Scotty Reinshield, Brandon Hodder, Matt Kingsbury, Adam Lane, Doug Lemons, and Brad Neer. The pressure, though, starts to go to the bubble spot as the trucks all get themselves together on the grid for tonight and try and get themselves to where they need a clean race. Paul Bliss and Doc Stelp being those two just 2 points apart in the standings in the Espeed Contender Series. And with that, let's look at your grid. It's an all Gen X Racing front row. Sean Powell and Mike Bruno start off on row number 1 tonight, separated by a tenth of a second. John Verga just missed the chance to break that up in row number 2. Kerry Allen, Stewart, a development driver, starts alongside Brent Keefe, Gregory Thompson, and Malik Ray in row 4. In row 5, Marshall Berry and Ryan Lange, as the rest of the grid rolls along your screen. 1 to go until we get started here for tonight's action. And it's going to be one where the pressure again is on to make sure you have a clean run. Make sure you stay out of trouble across the racetrack and pay attention, to where you are in terms of track position. It's a track where the top and the bottom can play a role if you are able to manage the bottom side. The top, the fastest way around this track. But with that, it's time to get things going. 200 laps at Bristol Motor Speedway. 76 degrees is your track temperature as everyone gets all set to go on the front row. Green flag getting ready at the flag stand. Pace car is off, and we're underway from Bristol Motor Speedway. And a clean start for the Gen X trucks in positions 1 and 2, as Sean Powell's already up to about a half a truck length lead up at the front. Curly trying to ride the outside line to start off, trying to diamond off for the exit, with John Verga able to jump up to the 3rd spot on the grid. Side-by-side battles, though, for 4th on back. Brad Neer holds onto the high side. Kerry Allen Stewart trying to defend the bottom side with Brent Keefe. You can now look out to Malik Ray trying to charge his way forward past Gregory Thompson as they are side by side. Now he's side by side with Kerry Allen Stewart. Allen Stewart trapped on that bottom side as he's now Ray moving up through the field quickly. Ray tonight started off in P8. He's already got himself up at least a few spots on the grid. Now following along with Marshall Berry on board as he's back in P9 and watching as the drivers try and sort themselves up in the front, try and get himself a rhythm as he is on his very lonesome side-by-side in front, side-by-side now as Ray's going for the battle for a position with Brent Keefe. And again, Ray using that bottom side to his advantage. As talked about a little bit, the bottom is a fast lane on this track if you're able to time it up and get to the throttle the perfect spot. Ray is one of those drivers. As you look again across this racetrack, Sean Mostyn trying to defend on James Hickson. That's for 22nd spot. That pushes Hickson down, and with the pressure again, with the standings as you've seen, Hickson's one of those drivers who needs a strong run tonight here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Already quickly turning through the laps. Just 14 seconds as the laps as the caution flag's been thrown as Doug Lemons has spun out on one of the straightaways. So a quick first caution and might have gotten involved maybe with Abe Bowden as well. That's where you see Bowden moving to the bottom side, weaving. Doug Lemons spins a 360, able to stay on the lead lap as you'll see it once again. You can see he's on the back of Logwood Jr., then just loses it and spins down to the bottom. Gets a little bit of contact on the front. Bowden gets contact from behind as the checkups happen with Lemons spinning. and Doug Lemons able to get minimum damage at the very least, as you've seen on your AMSO instant replay for tonight's race. Already under caution, and this is where, again, track position becomes the key here at Bristol Motor Speedway. You have Sean Powell having that track position, along with Mike Bruno and John Verga. Brad Muir and Malik Ray round out the top 5, as it looks like everyone's going to try and stay out for the most part, not go in for their tires quite yet, as they currently work their way behind the pace car to try and work themselves forward. One of the storylines again has been Sean Powell. Sean Powell, coming into tonight, had his 4th pole on the season and has also been very strong in the championship standings. Not just the overall standings where he locks himself in, but the regular season standings. Coming off win number 6 last week. And he's been just having a red-hot time at the perfect time for the postseason. Meanwhile, we haven't talked much this year about Mike Bruno. Mike Bruno, a development driver, of course, not running for Rookie of the Year, not running for points for this season. He's in P2. Bristol is one of his strongest racetracks, especially on the short run in the first 40 to 50 laps. He might be able to steal a bit of a race win if he can keep up with his teammate and Sean Powell. That's going to be something to be interested in, especially with how strong he is in multiple different cars at Bristol Motor Speedway. Once again, if you're just tuning in, you're watching the Thunder Valley 200, lap 11 of 200. Still a long ways to go, a lot can develop. And again, about track position and as well, keeping the truck clean. A few drivers already have minor damage that shouldn't affect them too much at a track like Bristol, but you don't want to end up getting into an incident on the racetrack tonight. It looks like we got trouble, though, for Tim Marlowe as he's blown up on pit lane after coming into the stall. So we already have a car now out of the race after blowing up when pulling in to get his repairs done in pit lane. That will mean his day is done. He'll DNF in P28. The restart's underway on the racetrack as we're back underway at Bristol Motor Speedway. And the Gen X Racing trucks working together 1-2 again as Mike Bruno gets behind Sean Powell. Brad Muir able to make a move on John Verga, having the advantage of the high side. But look at Ray using that bottom side. He's going to ride the rims along near the apron until he goes side by side with Verga for the 4th spot. Sliding the back end a bit, able to make the pass. Verga tries to cross over, but Ray's able to get the job done as Malik Ray's on the charge, moving himself up to P number 4 and moving up quickly. You can see him trying to still defend, though, with John Verga. John Verga not wanting to give up the spot as they were about even last time by. Verga still using that high side. But the argument with the bottom side is, if you're using the high side, you can still wear out those right front tires. That's why a lot of drivers are trying to make the bottom side work at a top-heavy track like Bristol. For the iRacing service, as trouble for Doc Stout. Look at the AMSO instant replays. The 62 truck, who is on the bubble for the point standings for the playoffs, gets loose, able to just save it to avoid the barrels, and moves himself back to P26. But in live action, P3 just heated up as Ray rides the bottom to go side by side with Brad Muir. The Intensity Motorsports truck trying to hang on, but the caution comes out. It's a big one. Scotty Reinshoot involved, Doug Lemons involved, Damian Pothmanger involved, along with Timmy Logwood Jr. as we're back under caution at Bristol. Take a look at your AMSO instant replay once again. We're looking at Paul Bliss to start this one off. As you see there, Bliss checks up after getting tight. Lemons backs into him. And then Timmy Logwood Jr. leading that checkup from Paul Bliss ends up having the collisions there. So 4 or 5 trucks involved. Timmy Logwood Jr. getting the worst of it after sliding. That's Brad Patterson who ends up in the middle of the racetrack, pushes him there. And then they pile in as well past that. Doyle Lawrence involved. James Torrey, as you've seen in the end picture as well. A lot of trucks just getting involved there around the 15th, 20th place on back spot. And that's bad luck for the drivers again on the bubble for the point standings. Paul Bliss has blown an engine now. Timmy Logwood Jr. has also blown an engine as the leaders come in for their first pit stops of the day. And with this racetrack, a lot of drivers are able to just go directly into the pit lanes. For tonight with the Espeed Contender Series, they're going to have all the drivers move through the backstretch pit lanes and then to the front stretch to not allow an advantage for the drivers in the front stretch compared to the backstretch where there's a disadvantage and a risk of a black flag in some cases to go in and out of your pit stalls. So that will lead them to go all down the pit lane. Top three as they continue to move their way forward. Ray, Bruno, and the leader in Sean Powell as they go into their boxes for what should be 4 tires after 22 laps total in this race so far. One driver having to move on forward in the boxes. That was John Verga, and Ray rolls a bit of a dice call here. Malik Ray moves to the lead after what looks like taking 2 tires, moves himself up a few spots in front of the Gen X Racing trucks. They'll go Ps 2 and 3 with Brent Keefe in the 4th spot as they continue to cycle on, pardon me, as the drivers continue to sort themselves out with the pit lane and try and go in for an extra time in some cases to get repairs done as they continue to sort on forward. Brad Neer did not pit along with Sean Molsnick. Doug Lemons, James Hickson also staying up at the front end. We'll have to see if they end up coming in. Black flag's also cleared for the Gen X Racing trucks with that issue mentioned there as they continue to work the way forward. Again, the top 3 are going to be the ones that do not pit. James Hickson going to be going to the back as he got the wave. So it's going to be a question of, once we get back going, how will these tires hold out after 20-plus laps of racing, including 15 laps of green flag runs? Once again, Hickson going to the back of the field. It looks like as well some of the Gen X trucks also being moved to the back of the field as well. So this is going to be bad luck for those 2 trucks. Pace lights are off on the truck, as now Sean Molsnick will be on the bottom side. Brad Neer choosing the high side for this restart. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Thunder Valley 200 for the Espeed Contender Series, as we're just 3 races, including this one, away from the playoffs, the postseason for this year. As Neer will lead them off on the outside for their Intensity Motorsports truck. The Lowline Racing Machine, this presenting sponsor for tonight's race, will start on the inside. Neer off and away as the pace car goes, and we're back racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. A good start for Ray as he's side by side with Doug Lemons, who is the last of those drivers to stay out from the pits. Sean Molsnick going for the lead as Neer pushes up the racetrack. Sean Molsnick will take the lead at Bristol. Question will be, how long can he hold on as Ray gets by for second? Ray, the freshest tires in terms of where they are positioned. 2 tires trying to make that work as he's up in P2, gaining quickly on Sean Molsnick. He'll rim ride along the apron. Molsnick gets tight on the exit. Ray's going to dive it in towards the bottom side by side through turns 3 and 4 as they'll head back down the front stretch. That time by Molsnick just by a nose, unable to get the lead away from Ray. Ray trying to still fight on the bottom side. Ray gonna try and get the run this time. Molsnick not giving up. Ray leads that time by at the stripe for lap 28 as they goes to lap 29. Molsnick pushes up the track. Ray has to let off the gas as Molsnick's not backing off. No room whatsoever being given on the racetrack at Bristol Motor Speedway as Sean Molsnick on 20-lap-old tires is hanging on. Gets a bit loose though on the top side, but able to push Ray down a bit as he continues to fight on the bottom side. And now Ray's just going to go back into line, try and be patient and try and regroup himself after fighting so hard on 2 tires to try and get a pass done, unable to do so. Now he's going to try and regroup and try and regain the time on the high side to Sean Molsnick, Davis.
He is, as you see him running right behind him, trying to follow his line, seeing where he's running, see where he can get the run. He's running kind of the high line now and kind of dominating off the corner. We've seen that line ran by actually Kevin Harvick.
Caution is out. We got more trouble as it looks like to be on, I think it's the backstretch. Everyone's now slowing down here after an incident on the racetrack, as you'll see on the AMSO instant replay. And it involves, looks to be Sean M. Ryan in the 04 machine. You see him going through turns, what is 1 and 2, working their way down the backstretch towards the front stretch. This is gaining up on Brandon Holder. And then you see the contact up in front. Kerry Allen Stewart spins around, ends up damaging the 04's truck. So Kerry Allen Stewart in the Area 51 racing truck goes around in the 360, and that brings out the caution flag on lap 34.
It does. Tough set of circumstances right there for those drivers, but hey, anything can happen. This is such a short but fast track. The damage lurks around every corner, well, every lap that is.
We've already had a couple cautions, including one big one in this one so far. So we have seen a few drivers get damaged. A few drivers, in fact, have blown motors. Sean Mosnick will now come in, pushing Malik Ray on 2 tires to the lead meanwhile. So now it's a question again of trying to play the track game, position game in this one, I think, here, Davis. We've seen it happen on the last time there was a restart, and it looks like Brad Neer not going to take that chance this time after running now 30-plus laps on his tires.
Yeah, he's not. He's going to come down pit road and get 4 fresh tires and fill that thing up with fuel. But yeah, tires can play a big advantage here. And we're going to see a lot of drivers as the night goes on. They're going to keep running that top side. But I'm interested to see as the night goes on, the drivers start going towards that lower line and start to make this a 2-lane racetrack.
And we've seen Ray, though, be one of the few drivers in the early going make the bottom side work, where you're running right next towards the apron just about and able to still launch off and still gain time from it. It's really challenging to do, that's for sure. But if you're able to time it up, you can get the job done for the first 15-20 laps at Bristol.
Yeah, and you know what it reminds me of, too, is Darlington. Darlington's a lot like that, where you run the corner, you're still running in that high line, but you run it in lower, and then you let it drift up right towards when you get to the wall, and then you hammer down the throttle on exit, and it drifts towards that middle on exit. And that's what it reminds me a lot of, but it's very hard and very tricky to do because you've got to drive it straight on the edge, lap after lap, and at any moment you can go plowing into that outside wall.
You absolutely could, and it again has the pressure again added to making sure you have a perfect run, a perfect start, perfect restart, as Ray still zooming on around, about 2 laps to go until the restart on the racetrack, as Gregory Thompson will cycle up to P3, Brent Keefe up to P2, Brandon Holder in 4th, rounding up the top 5, Sean Powell after moving to the back. Let's look at the big movers in the field tonight so far. Sean Mosnick did lead some laps for the caution, coming in for fresh tires. He still gained 17 spots, so the gamble to stay out on the 20-lap tires before the last restart ends up paying off for that machine for low-line racing tonight.
It does, and you know who's going to need a big night tonight, and that's that driver sitting in that lead, that number 20 car, Malik Ray. We have not seen the Malik Ray that we've been used to seeing the past couple of weeks, specifically at Canadian Motorsports Park and last week as well, as both he was one of the first trucks out of the race.
Pace car is off as Ray's off and away as the green flag's out, as the 5-time race winner this season gets to about a 2-truck length advantage already. Gregory Thompson's falling like a sack of bricks in the middle of the field around for P4 and P5. Sean Powell's going to take advantage, go to the bottom side as he moves up a spot. John Berger, though, is stuck behind him on the high side as a whole lot of trucks get very close, bumper to bumper, as they work their way through 1 and 2.
And they're all sewed in together right now as we watch the 48 of John Berger going in that 6th place position, setting his sights on the 88 of Gregory Thompson. Man, it's just wild watching these drivers, seeing when they're going to make their move in. We've got trouble in the caution.
And Sean Mosnick spins around after just getting fresh tires, ends up dropping himself to around 16th on back, as you'll see on the AMSO instant replay. fighting very hard with his teammate in every left lane, and it just goes away on him on the bottom side.
It does, as you ride in car with the 20 of Sean Mulsick right now, and he just loses it off of the turn number 4 and just does very good not to hit that inside wall. And I'm sorry, that's going to be the backstretch.
Able to keep it off the wall as Ray's going to stay in the lead. A few drivers thinking about pitting. Patterson's one of the first to lead them into the pits as everyone's going to stay out after a lot of drivers took advantage. But now, question is though, with Ray on these 2 tires, after a 20 lap split between the left sides and the right sides, including the pace laps, it's going to be again a question of how long will he be able to keep the speed he's been having with those 2 tires.
It is, and we're going to have to stay tuned and find out to see how he's able to handle those 2 tires. When's he going to come down pit road? I mean, if we're just having caution after caution after caution, there's no needing going down pit road. But if we can get us a long green flag run, and you know, we've seen this last week, Justin, where we just kept having caution after caution, but we eventually got that long run last week at Gateway Motorsports Park. I think we're going to see more of the same once some of these drivers just calm down, and then you get a lot of them that are injured, blow their motors, and are out of the race. Once we see that, then we'll see that long green flag run. I mean, I think at least we're going to see about a 60-70 lap green flag run before this race is over with tonight.
I think I agree with you, and that leads to my next question. With that and knowing there is still the chance of a long run, would you rather have a short run setup which runs great in the first 40-50 laps to get yourself an advantage in terms of track time and position or for the later stage? Or do you want to set something up where it's good in the short run but is able to take off and pass those drivers on the long run?
With it being Bristol, I'd rather have that short run setup card. We're still going to get that long green flag run, I believe, but I would rather have the short run setup car where I'm able to position myself, because once I'm in the position I want and once I'm in the lead, I can block these other drivers off and play defense, but I want to be able to play offense and be aggressive and get up there as fast as possible.
One of the drivers that have positioned themselves up forward after going towards the back is Sean Powell in the Gen X Racing truck. The pole sitter, he's been red hot in recent weeks, winning at Gateway, getting himself a season high 6 victories, all but securing the regular season point standings championship in terms of that space. 115 points ahead of Brandon Holder now in those standings. He's getting red hot at the right time, I think, here.
Yeah, and I think you're right.
Okay, with that, we're at 1 to go, as thank you for the insightful point there. Ray is going to choose the high side for this restart. Keith is going to go to the bottom side for P1 and 2. Behind them, Brandon Holder and Sean Powell in row 3. Gregory Thompson in P5 along with John Verga. As that's your top 6. Mike Bruno just outside that window in the 7th spot, also trying to work his way through the field. As the pace car works its way through turns 3 and 4, works its way down to the pit lane as Ray's off and away. We're back racing at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Thunder Valley 200, presented by Lowline Racing.
And the 20 of Malik Ray gets such a great jump over the 32 of Brent Keith, as now the 32 of Brent Keith is going to have to deal with last week's winner, the 41 of Sean Powell. He's a 6-time winner this season as he gets up right to the back bumper. The 32 of Brent Keith looks low on him. He's going to dive down, try to make the move. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. He's going to let him go, and he's going to try to set him up here as they come out of turn number 4.
And he's trying to make that bottom side work, dig on in, but Powell just scraped the wall and damaged the right front of his truck. That right front fender might not affect him too much, but it is a slight amount of damage as he moves back to the high side to try and regroup, to try and set himself up and pressurize Brent Keith.
He is still trying to look at him, see when he can make his move. Just look at that run that he gets off the exit of the corner. He looks low coming down the corner, down the stretch. Can he make the move? He's going to look low right here. He's going to try to get him as they come across the line, heading into turns 1 and 2.
Side by side, Powell able to dig on forward. Keith gets off the gas a little bit as he'll move up the racetrack. They'll pass by Doug Lemons on the apron, but Powell loses that momentum on the bottom side as Brent Keith, with the high side again coming back into play, able to hold on to the 2nd spot and defend that position.
He is and I've always been more of a driver that's loved to run the low side better than the high side here at Bristol. I don't know why, but that high side, it just makes me nervous, and I just don't like it, and I've always seemed to find more speed here on the low side. I'm telling you, as this track grips up and we get more and more grip, that low side is going to come into play here. As you see the drivers going around the number 22 of James Hickson, and now they're starting to deal with some lap traffic as they've got the 4 of Timmy Logwood Jr., one of the drivers involved in those early cautions at the beginning of the race. How's this lap traffic going to affect these drivers? Is it going to make them change their line? Or is the 41 of Sean Powell? He goes down to the bottom to try and get past the number 32 machine, and look, he's got lap traffic in front of him. Is he going to use him as a pick, or is it going to hold him up?
And tries to push Keith up. In fact, Keith, I think, tapped the wall as Powell pushed him up forward. So that's a way to get a pass done. Gets himself to second spot as they continue to work their way through traffic. Holder up to third, as now they're weaving in and out. They'll have to go inside and outside to dodge through traffic here at Bristol.
And it's like a freight train on that high side, where you see one lap traffic truck right there. He stays on the high side while these drivers try to scramble around him on the low side. But it's like a freight train with these drivers on the high side. It's like more like a roller coaster too, with the amount of G-forces and the amount of degrees of banking that this track has. It's absolutely unbelievable.
A crazy amount of banking, off this racetrack as they continue to work progressive banking through both of these corners as they're now side by side. John Verga and Brent Keith, as you see up on your screen, still on lap 59 of 200 here at Bristol Motor Speedway as Verga tries to dig on the bottom side by side now as Mike Bruno tries to make a dig on the entrance of turn 1 and 2. As you can see them moving forward, 3 and 4, pardon me. Keith Stewart has spun out meanwhile on the apron, and it's now sitting on the bottom of the racetrack in the 7 truck. He's got nowhere to go.
He's not going to be able to get this.
And now we got the caution. John Verga just spun around. John Verga spun, and Doc Stone involved. Damian Plasmasser is involved. Doug Lemon just avoids contact. And the Zero Gravity Racing truck, fighting to stay in the top 5, ends up going around as the caution is out once again and blowing the motor valve story as we'll look at the Amsoil instant replay.
The 62 just hits him right there in the corner, nowhere to go. You're watching the 48 of John Berger, just gets into the corner on that low side and just completely loses traction. The 8 of Brad Neer hits him. The 62 of Doug Stewart and the 70 of Doug Loomis just barely misses him. Multiple drivers involved. That's going to be the 62 with Doug Stewart that's blowing up. So, man, tough break for these drivers right here, but absolutely nowhere to go.
Doc Stout, I think you mean there. Now let's look at what happened to Keith Stewart with the Intensity Motorsports machine. And it looks like, again, just takes the corner straw and drifts through the whole thing. But he's smart where he stays at the bottom of the racetrack knowing it's not a smart move to go across the racetrack with green flag condition.
It's not. Yeah, his best bet is just to stay right there and just wait.
Now pit stops are underway across the speedway as Ray is first out of the pits. Second out of the stalls will be Sean Powell with Brandon Holder falling behind, with Brent Keith still staying in the top 5. Mike Bruno's able to gain a spot meanwhile on Gregory Thompson in the pit lane. So they are now sorting themselves out, getting back onto the racing surface here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But it's a rough time now for Doc Stout, who blew his motor with that incident. Him and as well Paul Bliss have been involved with incidents. The difference is Bliss was able to get a lucky dog and get his damage repaired. Doc Stout, it's a bit more intensive, where it was just a 2-point points gap between the two of them coming into tonight for 16th spot.
Well, that's definitely going to take a turn for the worse for that 62 machine. He's going to have a lot of ground to make up next week if he hopes to get into the playoffs.
Absolutely will. If the race was to end the way it is, as they continue to try and sort themselves out on the racing surface right now, Paul Bliss was running around in the lead lap, let's say 15th for the spot for him. That will separate the points gap, with Doc Stout currently running and falling down the leaderboard to about, as far back I believe he can go as 21st at the moment. That'll grow the gap for Paul Bliss to have the insurance for the spot to about just around 10 points. Again, a lot can still happen here at Bristol Motor Speedway, where, again, we talked about this a little bit. one incident can change your whole complexion of the race, even if you have the fastest truck.
Yeah, it really can, and that's what absolutely scares me too, Justin. Is I've actually got a league race here next week, tomorrow in the Xfinity Series. So I'm pretty terrified of this track because anything can happen. It doesn't matter if you're staying at the back, if you go up front, there's cars all around you, and anything's possible. And this track is just unforgiving. But hey, it's sure fun to call and it's sure fun to watch. I can tell you that.
And we're coming around 1 to go now as Malik Ray continues to choose the high side. He'll start alongside Sean Powell, with row number 2 being Brandon Holder and Brent Keith. In the 5th spot, moving his way back to the field, is Mike Bruno, with Gregory Thompson holding strong in 6th. And rounding out the top 8, Everett F. Lane and Sean M. Ryan holding on as well. Bobby Everhart having his strongest run of the season in 10th, as Ray backs off the pace car as it drops off the racing surface. As he's zapping away, green flags back out. We're back underway for the Thunder Valley 200 as Powell does not get the best of restarts as Holder was on his back door.
That kick-ass beef jerky machine of Malik Ray is just absolutely getting one heck of a start on these restarts. He's absolutely killing these boys. But right now we might be having a battle for second place as the 41 of Sean Powell and the 5 of Brandon Holder go back and forth. The 5 of Brandon Holder about 2 truck leads behind the 41 of Sean Powell. But look at the 32 of Brent Keith still having a really good run tonight. And look who's made into the top 5. One of the newcomers of the league, the 19 of Mike T. Bruno.
Mike Bruno still following along the tire tracks as you look on board, trying to use that high line and then diamond his way off onto the exits of turn 2 and turn 4. That gives him that little extra speed compared to Keith, who's up in front of him, and he's closed up the gap from about 2.5 truck lengths to about just under a truck length on the exits and down towards the end of the straightaways.
Yep, you're absolutely right, as they're still battling back and forth, but things have really started to remain single file here. Maybe the drivers have figured out, hey, I want to stay here. I don't want to get any more damage. Let's kind of ride this race out. But that leader's about to catch lap traffic, Justin.
And that's, again, a lot can happen when you reach lap traffic. A lot of things can happen, as you can see. Just a full straightaway ahead. The first lap truck will be Timmy Logwood Jr. Damian Klossmacher is up in front of him as you look at Logwood Jr. 26th after getting involved in a couple different incidents here tonight. Ray has already closed that gap by half a straightaway, as I think Logwood Jr. just had a puff of smoke, in fact, a little bit. And as Abe Bowden is now on the bottom of the racetrack, that's where that puff of smoke just came from, as you'll see in the absolute instant replay.
Right, you're watching right here at that number 74 machine for Zero Gravity Racing, and yeah, she just blows up like a freight train. He decides to get off the track, doesn't want to drop any oil down there, get any other drivers in contact or have anyone else run over him. But yeah, that thing just said, hey, that's enough Bristol action for me. I'm done with it. But he's definitely going to be out of the race.
Yeah, good for him at least to get off the racetrack as quick as he can. Meanwhile, trying to gain up as quick as he can, Mike Bruno again to Keith, as you continue to see the lap traffic moving to the low side for right now, moving by Sean Mosnick on the apron, and trying to maybe still again force that mistake. Hope that he maybe taps the wall a little bit. Maybe a lap truck doesn't move away. John Burgum might be that one as Brent Keith has to check up. Mike Bruno has to almost get underneath, almost taps the left rear quarter panel as they're now side by side with Gregory Thompson.
Side by side, Mike T. Bruno looking to the low side of the number 32 of Brent Keith. Now the 88 of Gregory Thompson is going to want to get into this fight as well. And now they start to get single file again as they're going to go around the number 22 machine of James Hickson and try to get around him. But hey, you know what I'm hoping we see here tonight? And I think if we do, it's going to be unorchestrated chaos as green flag pit stops.
If that is going to be the big question mark, they can't make it on fuel. The most they can go maybe fuel is at the most maybe 110, 120 laps max. So it's the question of when do you come in if you get that long green flag run. The safe mark is basically that lap 100 point as we look at the battle now for 12th and 13.
Yeah, I'm going to be the last driver to go in down pit road because when these drivers go in, there's 100%. going to be a caution. If there's not a caution during green flag pit stops, then I'm going to be utterly surprised. But with the bacon on this track and try to get on it and off of it, when the lowest these drivers have that brake bias on these machines, that someone's going to go spinning into that inside wall.
Absolutely. The question is, when does it happen? Mike Bruno able to jump on forward onto the bottom side, trying to slide up in front of Brent Keith. Keith checks up a bit as he's still side by side a bit. Bruno able to get the spot, and Gregory Thompson takes advantage of lap traffic to move himself another spot as well up and grid, up to the top 5 here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Chaos right now as these drivers are 2 by 2 trying to get past the lap traffic, trying to get past each other as the 19 of Mike T. Bruno gets on the low side of the number 85 of Paul Bliss. Now the 88 of Gregory Thompson, he's going to decide to do the same. But hey, back to our leader, Malik Ray, and that number 20 machine. Ooh, he almost makes contact right there with the number 8 of Doyle Lawrence. Now he's moved to that low side, and there's a caution.
And the caution flags out at Bristol once again. James Torrey involved in this one. Sean Powell also involved as a smoke grenade has gone off as he's down the back stretch. This is going to be a big one on the Amso Instant Replay as Powell has nowhere to go. How goes his engine?
Wow. That's wow. He was running in second place, just nowhere to go. The number 2 with James Torrey just loses it off the corner. Maybe thinking too much brake pressure, and 41 that's just bad luck.
I gotta agree with you. I don't know what else to really say with that. Powell sees it coming, but has nowhere to go as he slides down the racetrack trying to save it, and Powell ends up slamming hard, I should say, into the side of him. His day might be done tonight as drivers go in for pit stops, including the main leaders across the track. So they are still going to be somewhat close in terms of fuel, but it gets somewhat easier if it goes green from here.
It does, and with that just happening right there, that proves that, hey, just because Malik Ray had a almost 4-second lead, anything can happen at this track. There could be a caution right in front of Malik Ray, and he gets hit, so anything can happen.
Anything, again, can happen here at Bristol Motor Speedway as we are approaching lap 90, coming to 111 laps to go in the Thunder Valley 200. We'll be back in just a few moments here on RaceSpotTV as you're watching the Espeed Contender Series.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hookie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Espeed Contender Series for the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. As we're approaching lap 93, just over 100 laps to go here on RaceSpotTV at Bristol Motor Speedway. Justin Prince alongside Davis Richards. as the leaders are coming out of 3 and 4 for the restart. Brandon Holder, through pit strategy, was able to take the lead with Brett Keith to the outside as we're back underway from Bristol Motor Speedway as Ray darts his way all the way from third almost to the lead in one corner.
I'm sorry, but I can't help but laugh. They try to outsmart the 20 Malik Gray, and he says, hey, that's all right. He gets 3 of them in one corner on the low side. It's absolutely amazing what he's been able to do here in that kick-ass beef jerky number 20.
And it took him just about almost a full lap to take the lead and pull away now to a 3 track length lead. Mike Bruno, meanwhile, also jumped past Brandon Holder to move himself up to second. Everett F. Lane now fighting for his best spot on the racetrack just behind them as they're side by side. So when Everett Lane moves himself to the 3rd spot with Brandon Holder moving all the way back from 1st to 4th after the pit stops, after trying to get himself a decent strategy, but now falling off.
Yeah, I think Malik Ray is just out there laughing too, as he's got about a 7/10 second of a lead over the number 19 of Mike T. Bruno, and now he'll be catching lap traffic here in about 5 or so laps, but we've only got about 11 trucks on the lead lap tonight.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing with some of these incidents here tonight, as well as the pace Ray has been running to break up some of these battles and put these drivers laps down. He's already pulling away. Caution flag has come out again at Bristol, as this time it's Gregory Thompson involved in the BE Racing Machine. The development drivers you'll see on the AMSO instant replay.
Look at that 88 of Gregory Thompson, and again, just loses it off the corner. I mean, we've seen this happen lap after lap after lap. I mean, these trucks have got to be loose out there, or maybe there's just too much brake bias, or I'm not sure, Justin, but there's something going on with these drivers losing it like this.
I'm going to say this. I will admit this. I ran with the Road to Pro and had that same issue happen on lap 1. In fact, with that, the issue I found with that when getting loose off the corner is bottoming out the race truck with the suspension that ends up spinning you and sliding you out on the exit like that with basically no warning. It goes from driving well to snap loose. It looks like the case with some of these drivers tonight, Davis.
But this is an open setup league, so you think these drivers, I mean, they've had, what, 30, 45 minutes of practicing at least before the race and plus all week. When some of them have tested it out and be able to suit those setups to avoid that?
I would think so, but it's still, again, you might be pushing too hard, you have to think, where you're trying to hold on to spots and try and gain some time, and you're not maybe trying to go with a faster truck rather than the handling, worrying about the handling and trying to handle the truck as the race goes on rather than while you're setting up maybe to try and keep the speed in it.
Yeah, we'll get back to that point here in 1 second, but guess who just got on the lead lap? No, number 70 of Doug Lemons just got the lucky dog.
And that's lucky for him for sure, after at one point having some smoke come from his engine, damaging the front end after a couple spins, and now up to P12 with the lucky dog. So a heck of a run for him. He's just going to have to try and beat the pace car out, in fact, as they head down the front stretch, as Lemons just beats it out by a few lanes. There's still around 2 to go until the restart, as Malik Ray all over the place a little bit. Bruno holding up everyone. Lane now in 3rd, meanwhile. Marshall Berry, we haven't talked about him much, if at all, tonight, in 4th. And Kerry Allen Stewart, who smoked his engine a few times, is in 5th right behind him.
Well, this is absolutely insane, Justin. But back to that point about the setup issue, too. I mean, we've seen it here. If you keep a clean car and you can control that car, you're going to come out of here with a top 10 finish. But, you know, it's just about, I would think that there would be things that these guys could do. And I understand you want to have a fast car, too. But I'd rather have a car that I know that I can control and then a car that's wicked loose or wrecking every single lap.
I have to agree with you on that, because while I do like a fast truck as where I want to go, you don't want to be where you're going so fast you're spinning the back end out. I have to agree with you on that. As now we head towards the backstretch for the restart. Malik Ray choosing the bottom side this time by. Mike Bruno going to use the high side with Lane and Berry in row 2, Allen Stewart and Holder in row 3. So that's your top 6 as they prepare for the restart. The kick-ass jerky truck's already off and away as the green flag's up. We're back on the way at Bristol. Just past under 100 laps to go as Ray's already up to a huge start over Mike Bruno.
Yeah, and someone's going to have to give that number 20 Malik Ray a random inspection after this race. I think he's got some launch control set up on that machine because the restarts he's been able to get are absolutely phenomenal. And after that, it's just smooth sailing for that 20 machine. But now we got the battle right now for that. It's going to be the 5th position with the 5 of Marshall Berry and the 5 of Brandon Holder.
He's falling backwards, in fact, trying to use the high side, but it seems like he just can't carry the speed he needs to, and now he's dropping back like a rock. I think he might have got some extra damage on the truck on the right side, maybe, especially the right side door, which is now leading him to go backwards rather than forwards in terms of speed. He's all the way back to P8.
It is, as you see him riding that high side right there, and yeah, he's just losing all his momentum and all his speed, but I wouldn't think that would be affecting him that bad. I mean, I'm not sure, but you see him try to go low in front of the 88 and almost cuts Gregory Thompson off, but he's definitely got a problem with that machine.
He definitely is. Now he's back to 9th spot and dropping fast in terms of lap times. Berry on the racetrack, 15.4 last time. That is at least a second slower than the leader in Ray. At least 0.6 to 0.4 at least to everyone else around him. Brad Patterson, who's been involved in 1 or 2 incidents tonight, is the next one trying to gain some ground on him. He's near the back end. Last time by 0.6. Faster moves to the bottom side, trying to get himself underneath Berry's quarter panel. He'll ride the bottom side. Berry will let him get the spot as they'll go side by side a bit. Berry pushes up, and Patterson takes the spot away as well. Everhart trying to go away 3 wide.
3 wide right here, and I'm watching the 05 machine speed too. He's about 5 miles an hour off of the on the straight, so he's definitely got engine problems right now. I think this is just him trying to limp it home and try to see what he can do. But yeah, he's holding up traffic. Here's the 48 of John Ferga, tries to go below him. Now you got the 7 of Keith Stewart as well.
Yeah, now a lot of these drivers that are passing by are at least a lap down. So Berry having an issue which I don't think he can really deal with until if and when there's an air caution on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Gregory Thompson, he's having to work his way through some traffic as the caution is out, and it's Brad Neer this time in the number 9 LSR TV machine. He's off and pulled himself into the tow truck, as you'll see.
He is, as I'm watching right here, he comes. He gets all his damage fixed, but he comes off of pit road, and well, there you go.
Let's look at what happens here, where I wonder if it was a case of shifting, being maybe in first gear still and just spinning those tires and ends up sending them into the wall like that. That's the only thing I can think of to be able to swing around that quickly, Davis.
Yeah, you're right, and it could have been that issue too, or maybe, he just wasn't expecting it. He's got cold tires on that truck, and he just goes to get up to speed, and she just turns around.
And that again brings out the caution on lap 116 now. Lucky dog, Paul Bliss. So Paul Bliss on the lead lap. Everyone else now is 2 laps down as pit stops are underway. Ray's the first out. Bruno comes out second. And Brandon Holder comes out third as Everett F. Lane, Gregory Thompson round out the top 5. So Thompson losing a bit of ground up pit lane somewhat. But the rest of the drivers having to go through their pit stops, whether it's on the back stretch or the front stretch now. But I think the storyline tonight, Davis, if we can shift to that, is the way Ray has just been near dominant tonight. Fastest truck by about 0.3 a lap.
It's been absolutely dominant, and when we go in the restart here, if we can get some sort of in-car or some camera view that really puts into proportion the way that the number 20 machine of Malik Ray is able to get on these restarts and to showcase to the fans. But yeah, the absolute storyline of the night is him being able to dominate. But hey, the race isn't over. We're seeing what happened to Sean Powell. So anything can happen with this race here. We're going to have about, 80 or so laps to go. So we still got a handful of laps here, and I don't think the action's done quite yet.
I don't think it's over yet by a long shot either. And it looks like Mike Bruno's been cycled up to second now in the racetrack with the order again. Brandon Holder in third. So it looks like a little bit of adjustments once again as they continue to sort themselves out. A bunch of drivers trying to get at least to 1 lap down or at least 2 laps down. James Hickson up at front of them. Also a good news for Doc Stout as you see him right up in front of the leader, back out on the racetrack trying to get any points he can in 23rd spot, 36 laps down, trying to keep up as much as he can with Paul Bliss, who is currently in terms of the lineup about 10 spots up.
Yeah, but look how many drivers that Doc Stout can pass and get around the 4 of, look here, so I'm not...
Timmy Logwood Jr. you're referring to there.
Yeah, Timmy Logwood, he's on the track. Sean Powell, he's off the track. Brad Neer's off the track. John Ferguson, I mean, he can still pass 2 or so drivers and still might have some cautions here too. So yeah, he can still get some valuable points, and you never know how useful those points are going to be until you need them.
As you see the difference between the 2 spots, 5 laps to Sean Powell, who is having extensive repairs to his motor, as Ray, meanwhile, has chosen the outside line for the restart. He'll start alongside Mike Burrow once again. Second row, Brandon Holder, Everett F. Lang, Gregory Thompson, and Brent Keefe rounding out the top 6. As well, Sean M. Ryan and Kerry Allen Stewart looking to punch their way up into at least maybe the top 5. Ray holds them back this time as he'll wait for the green flag. Up and away they go. Once again for the Thunder Valley 200 as Ray gets a huge boost after waiting that time by for the green flag.
And I think he heard us when we were talking about him too, as you see the back of that kick-ass beef jerky number 20 machine. Look at the distances he's able to get from the second place of the 19 of Mike T. Bruno. Just absolutely a dominating performance that 20 machine is putting on here tonight.
Yeah, he just turned 3/10 faster off the restart, and this time by a 14.3. Next fastest was Bruno at a 14.4, and everyone else is in 14.4s on back. So Ray has got himself that pace he needs to. Holder, meanwhile, trying to hold on in his machine with the Lowline Racing 24 at Everett F. Lane. Closing on in, trying to diamond off the corner once again to try and get himself a spot where Gregory Thompson plays defense behind.
It is, and yeah, as you see them right now as they're getting them single filed out. But too, while we're getting close to the playoffs, it'd be a good time to bring the point up though. Who is your favorite coming into the playoffs? I mean, we've got Malik Ray, that number 20 machine, and then we've got Sean Powell in the 41 machine. Then we've got drivers like Brandon Holder that have showed stints of speed, Kerry Allen Stewart, but obviously he's not going to be in the playoffs. But there's a lot of drivers, the 27 of Scotty Reinschild. There's a lot of drivers that we've seen have speed, and there's drivers that we've seen had a dominating performance, but who gets hot and who doesn't, I think it's going to be who rides the playoffs out.
I definitely agree with you, and Sean Powell went from hot streak to getting a bucket of ice water thrown on him tonight in the 41. Doc Stout is, as you can see, is in 11th spot, trying to hold on in front of Bobby Eberhard, who's having one of his strongest runs, while Doc Stout trying to gain any spots he can, just gained one up on Sean Powell, and the next one again he can gain is on Brad Neer, who is, as you can see, Timmy Logwood Jr. is on track, but Brad Neer is 19 laps down, so he needs to turn at least there 17 laps to gain himself up to 21st spot on the circuit for the 62 machine. So once again, with that question brought on up there from my partner, Davis Richards, who is your favorite driver and for the championship right now? Say that right now across social media as the caution comes out and the perfect timing, and it's Bobby Eberhard, who is having a strong run. Now, he might have a risk of going a lap down, as you'll see on the Amso Instant Replay.
Yeah, we're going to take a look right here, and it's just the same thing we've seen all night. I mean, it's not like we're seeing drivers be aggressive. We're just seeing them lose it by themselves.
Yeah, it just goes bye-bye, to say the very least. Just, you can see the squeals, too, how much he slid onto the bottom and tried to turn it back around. And in terms of where he was positioned on the racetrack, I'm not sure if he was able to even keep himself in the lead lap with how much he had to back up. As you see the drivers move on by the racetrack, that does put him a lap down. He's not eligible for the lucky dog, and he'll have to be now trying to maybe hope for maybe a wave around, as now That was your AMSOIL instant replay. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, as pit stops are back underway at Bristol for fresh tires. I'm curious to see if anyone tries to mix it up here as everyone goes on the jacks. Looks like all the lead drivers going for 4.
And we've seen what happened last time when these drivers tried to take 2 and Malik Ray took 4. It took him, what, a corner to get past him. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to test it here unless you're just hoping to get up there and maybe you pick up a couple spots at the end of the race. But, yeah, and back to the question as well with the playoffs looming so close. I mean, we've seen drivers like Malik Ray. He's had 5 wins so far. He's dominating tonight. But the last 2 weeks, he's been one of the first cars out of the race. Then we see the 41 of Sean Powell. 6 races won. Had a dominating race the last couple of weeks. And this week, he's going to have a DNF. So anything can happen with these races. But while we've seen drivers go on streaks and win a bunch of races throughout the season, we just haven't seen one consistent person to dominate throughout every single race with 5, 6, 7, 8 second lead.
I think that we have seen here and there those kind of dominating performances for a driver, but again, you hit the point there where... Exactly, that's what I was about to say, not consistently. It just, I think, shows, Davis, the talent that's in this league and is coming in for the Espeed Contender Series when you have guys like Ray, who is doing very strongly in the Road to Pro Series point standings. Have drivers like Thompson, who is an underrated driver, who's been doing well. And gives drivers that some might not see too often in their various races, see how they do and how strongly they can perform for their races for sure so far.
Yeah, and you're right, Justin. I think, too, this is going to be a great playoffs when we get there here, and it's going to be a great run to the championship. And honestly, I can't pick a favorite because it's so close and so even across the board. And like I said, we haven't had that consistent dominating performance that it's hard to choose which driver. So I think we're going to be in for a surprise here, and I think we're going to get a champion that we're not suspecting at the end of the season.
Once again, with the format, again, you basically have it similar to what it is in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for the standings in terms of how it's structured, and so forth, as we head to 1 degree. It's going to be basically 3 rounds of about 3 races to decide who will be in that championship to go and try and win the championship for the Espeed Contender Series for 2018. As we're all set to go for the restart, Ray will be on the inside of the front row, Bruno on the outside. Brent Keefe, as you're following along with him, will start in the 6th spot as they're going to say no go. Ray wanted to go, but we have a delayed green as multiple drivers almost collided with one another. So it looks like someone who was laying cars by stopped on the racetrack and will have to reorganize again.
Yeah, that was unorganized chaos right there. As you look at the replay presented by AMSOIL, the green flag waves, and then looked at 20 of Malik Ray. They instantly throw the caution again. The 20 of Malik Ray says, y'all have fun. I'm getting to the bottom. I'm getting all of out of your ways. See a couple of drivers make contact, and then, yeah, that could have been absolute chaos.
I'm not sure who would have triggered that there on the racetrack. Apologies there. As you'll see here, where again, Ray, as soon as he hit the gas, got the delayed green, and then there's a contact, as you see there. Bruno got a huge shot from the back, as the green flag now is officially out in live action, but that scrambles things up for a lot of drivers. Everett F. Lane, after having damage on the front end, has a destroyed front end of his truck, and is falling like a rock on the outside line and trying to defend, as in that 24 machine side by side with Gregory Thompson, as Ray is checked out again.
That 24 machine was having such a great run, and it's Bristol. And things happen like this, and unfortunately he's got some pretty bad contact here. Hopefully he can keep that engine cool and he doesn't blow it up. But we're about to have a battle here for 2nd place. That 5 of Brandon Holder is right on the rear bumper of the 19 of Mike T. Bruno.
He's trying to find a way to get himself to where he needs to be again on this racetrack, as you still fall on with Lane, meanwhile, with the damage on the front side. As they continue to move across the track, you got to worry, though, I think, with Lane, though, because that damage on the front end might cause the engine to maybe overheat. Maybe he's got some extra damage there, too, on the engine itself.
Yeah, he may, and the 5 of Brandon Holder gets such a run off the exit of the corner, gets the bump to the number 19 machine, and now he tries to get on that high side, can't make the run quite work, but now look at that, look at the run he gets on the front stretch. They head down in 1 and 2 side by side.
And Mike Bruno gives him the spot, moves to the bottom, goes back in line, and Brandon Holder is now in the second spot here at Bristol. Still approaching 50 laps to go in the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing, as you still see Holder now trying to pull on away from Mike Bruno, who has that damage on the back end as well on the spoiler, and trying to keep himself separated. Gregory Thompson trying to get himself up another spot, following along with Everett F. Lane, in fact, as Lane, again with that damage, loses a spot, pardon me, and now has to worry with Brent Keefe to the back side of him. And another caution, and it's in front of the second place cars, and all the leaders are piling in. Brent Keefe, Everett F. Lane, Brad Patterson involved. Now everyone else, Keith Stewart, up and over a truck and up. Oh my goodness, pardon me there. People do not check up there, and apologies again there for the slight lap, but Mike Bruno has a blown engine, and it's a parking lot in the corner after this. Oh my.
Ray actually got in some contact as well.
I don't know what else to really say with that. Apologies once again, but a huge, absolutely massive pileup that starts up with James Hickson sideways, and then Mike Bruno looked great just avoiding him. Bruno ricochets, and then the leaders all say hello, and then no one else knows that the accident's in the exit of 1 and 2, so no one hits the brakes. So we have Keith Stewart go up and over, Near piles in, just unbelievable. I don't know what else to say, as that was your Ansel Instant Replay. As we'll reorganize things here, we'll be under 50 laps to go and restart here at Bristol. We'll be back in just a moment here on RaceSpotTV.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They caught!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Wonky! Down to the inside of Hershey's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for free.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Espeed Contender Series after a parking lot in Turn 2. The field's very much different as the restart is underway. Ray got some damage, is in the lead still, and Brandon Holder still had on to second, but with everything that just happened, Doug Lemons is the least damaged truck now in the 3rd spot compared to everyone else in Ray, followed by Tim Marlowe and lap traffic, Bobby Eberhardt, side by side with Brent Keefe for P4 and P5 to round out the top 5 after a confusing sequence of events in the Thunder Valley 200 here on RaceSpotTV.
Yes, you're right, Justin. Confusing set of events right there as I'm trying to look, and man, we don't have that many drivers left on the track.
There are 5 drivers on the lead lap. I am not joking. 5 drivers after a massive pileup that takes out all but maybe 7 drivers that were around the lead lap and or 1 lap down. Everyone else, after Keith and Ryan, are 6 laps down on back. Mike Bruno's going to try and keep a spot or 2. This is how it sorts out after all of this. Bobby Eberhardt launches 15 spots. Lane jumps up 10 overall since the start. Lemons is up into his highest spot since the early goings of the race. And it helps a couple more drivers and ends up ricocheting drivers down the leaderboard as the first driver on the racetrack right now, after that, Lange is still on the racetrack. Bruno just came back out and lost a spot, in fact, to go 7 laps down, and everyone else on there is not on the racetrack for the most part. Everyone else on that list is not on the racetrack.
Yeah, the only driver that didn't make contact with that, well, actually, he did make contact. Actually, I'm going to take that back. Every single driver on the racetrack got some sort of contact from that accident. And Doug Lemons might win this thing after blowing his motor earlier in the race.
And Mike Bruno still chugging along after he blew his motor and had to get about 6 minutes of repairs done and is running in P9, so he might salvage a top 10 out of this. Just unbelievable circumstances here, coming to 61 laps to go next time by as Ray continues to lead at this track tonight. Ray has led just about all of the laps ever since he took the lead after taking 2 tires around lap 20 as he bounces off the wall, but keeps the car going, just ricochets himself off it a bit.
He does, and I lost my train of thought there, Justin, was but yeah, that 20 of Malik Ray, he just bounced off that outside wall, but he's still chugging along in that kick-ass beak jerky machine, and that's just what he's done tonight. He has kicked some ass, and that number 20 machine, absolutely dominating performance, able to avoid the wreck, still got some contact, still got the old Bristol scars. Kind of goes on too much longer, kind of might start looking like Kyle Busch's car from Saturday, but nonetheless, it's got a 2.1 second lead over the 5 of Brandon Holder. Like you said, the 70 of Doug Lemons, he's sitting in 3rd. Everett F. Lane, we seen him get some major contact earlier in the race too, and then Bobby Eberhardt and that 71 machine, he is involved in a wreck as well. So I think it's safe to say that all of these drivers, they've all been involved in some wreck, some contact, or brought out of caution here tonight.
You can see the leaderboard, the top 5 separated by 14 seconds in total, all the way back to Bobby Eberhardt. That might change, though, because Eberhardt is trying to hold on to the lead lap as Ray goes on, zooms on by easily, as you now see him lap himself up to P4. Holder, meanwhile, he's losing about 0.2 a lap still to Ray, as Ray, during this run, has set the fastest lap of the race, a 14.228, in fact, so he is not letting up. He is still trying to pull on away. 3.2 seconds is the gap.
And I'm looking at the chat here, too, and I just seen Randy Chennis comment. I couldn't help but chuckle.
I'd like to apologize, meanwhile, as well with that incident where a couple of us may have not chuckled there. We apologize for those if they're taken out of context with the incident. As you see, the tire squeal still in turn number 2. As the race has turned an interesting turn, to say the least. Just 4 drivers now in the lead lap. Ray, Holder, Lemons, and Lane. As you continue to see them zoom all around the race circuit, coming to 30 laps to go, this time by for Malik Ray. And there's still a lot of drivers still chugging along, about 12, 13-ish, I think, in total are left on the racetrack after the big 1.5 at Bristol.
Yeah, it literally lasted a lap and a half, but that 20 of Malik Ray, about a 3.2 lead over the 5 of Brandon Holder, and if this race goes green for the rest of the race, Malik Ray is going to lap the entire field. But right now, look at the traffic that he's got to deal with, as this race is in no way, shape, or form over. As danger can happen in any single corner. He goes around the 19 of Mike T. Brenda. Now he looks to make his size and take the number 32 machine of Brent Keith another lap down. So yeah, he's still got some lap traffic to deal with, but I think everyone's going to be calm and let him go, as we have about 27 laps to go here at Bristol.
You know something too, with all that traffic you just seen there, Everett F. Lane just fell a lap down. In fact, so Malik Ray has lapped himself up to third. Next driver up would be Doug Lemons, who's about 5 seconds up the racetrack. So this could be an unbelievable feat if this ends up happening. Here's Doug Lemons on the track. 10.866 is the differential as he'll cross the start and finish line. Lost about a half a second almost in between a pause for breath. So Ray might have the potential to lap the entire field, which is unheard of even for Bristol.
It is unheard of, and Doug Lemons too, he blew his engine earlier in this race, and he's going to get he has the potential, a very good potential, to get a podium in an interview at the end of this thing.
There's a lot of drivers that are going to have some interesting stuff to say for sure in this, as Doug Lemons is probably thinking, I'm happy to get up to third. Lane, meanwhile, is still hampering on a damaged truck and might actually lose a spot if he continues to fall back to Bobby Everhart. Remember, he has damage on the front end after a delayed green right as the pace car dropped off the racetrack. And so he's now looking like he's very much down on power, maybe try to manage the engine temps and/or dealing with the damage on the front end.
He is now at that 20 of Malik Ray. The next driver up is the 70 of Doug Lemons. As he looks, and Doug Lemons is just going to let him by. And Malik Ray has lapped every single one on this track except for the 5 of Brandon Holder.
And Holder is still 6.5 seconds back last time by, as you see the difference now up on your screen for the American Motorsports machine. He's been up and down like a yo-yo as well for today. He started 13th. Now in second, fell back at one point after tapping the wall compared to his teammate, in fact, with Marshall Berry, which shot Berry back. Holder had the same issue, in fact, during one green flag run. Recovered from that, and now he might have one of his strongest runs in the past couple weeks for him on the season. He has won a few times, but this is one of his strongest showings since his last win on the schedule.
It is Justin, so he needs that momentum as he gets headed into the playoffs here. If this momentum is going to go good, you see Malik Ray still lapping these other drivers and taking them down one by one, and we're going to have to figure out what this driver's got in that setup, because he is absolutely flying around this half mile.
This is the fastest I think I've seen him at all at Bristol, by far. He's, like we talked about a bit, he is one of those few drivers I've seen use the bottom with very much a great pace. He's using the high side now on this racetrack and is still gaining 0.2 per lap. It's going to be an absolute feat for him. 15 to 14 laps to go next time by for him, the kick-ass jerky machine, in what has been near domination, leading since about lap 22 at Bristol, and has really not looked back other than a couple times here and there. Even at one point, having a restart where he passed from third to first in going into turn 3.
And I think it was even turn 1 and 2 that he got past him too. As the drivers took 2 tires, he took 4. He said, hey, that's fine, and just zoomed right by him. So he's got this track figured out. I'm gonna have to get lessons for tomorrow for my league race in the Xfinity Series and see what I need to do for this track. Is think, you know, I'd be paying attention and watching his line close up, but my ADHD has kicked in and I've done everything but that.
Okay then, but let's look at the speeds that Ray's carrying. He's now shifted to the bottom side because I think right now he's just has the carrot on a stick mentality, knowing he has a chance to lap the field. He's still got about a 6-second difference. I don't think he's got enough time to do so, but Ray with about an 8.7 second, a 9-second lead in fact, up in front of Brandon Holder, continues to gain time. You see the split 7.6 seconds in Group 1 and 2 to the backstretch, 7.64, almost even towards 3 and 4 to the front stretch to the start and finish line. So just a blistering pace.
Smoke. I don't know if someone's blown up or someone has spun out, as there was smoke in front of the driver, and I think they've cleared it out. But yeah, you're right. And just look at his telemetry too. There's no brakes. He's just getting off that throttle. He's not using any brakes. Yeah, someone has definitely blown up there on pit road.
It might have been one of the trucks trying to get repairs that might have just had their motor blow up. Unfortunate for them, maybe trying to get a couple extra laps down. And it looks like it was Keith Stewart in the number 7, who, remember, went up and over on top of a truck and then flipped over on the exit of turn 2. But with that, the focus continues on again up towards the front. 6 laps to go for Malik Ray in what has been a dominating run for the number 20 machine tonight. It will be a season-tying 6th victory for Ray, the first in a little while, in fact, after having a cold spell, as mentioned, having a rough day, 2 straight weeks at Gateway and Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And now he switched the light switch back on at the right time as he'll continue to work his way around. 4 laps to go at Bristol.
And what will this momentum do to his championship hopes as we go throughout this season? What will you be able to take this momentum and just absolutely dominate the playoffs, or is he going to be able to ride the high, get a few top 5s here? Only time will tell, but he has absolutely dominated tonight. So if it's of any showing, these drivers better be worried.
He works his way again out of 3 and 4. 2 laps to go as you see him pass by the flag stand and still using the bottom side. Now about just 4 seconds up the road will be Brandon Holder. A little bit of smoke puffing away as Doug Lemons has blown up as the white flag comes out. 1 to go at Bristol, and Doug Lemons, with bad luck in P3 before blowing the engine, has to hope he can chug along. Malik Ray going through 3 and 4 will take the checkered flag and win at Bristol.
And Doug Lemons is still rolling by 2 laps down. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's definitely going to lose that 3rd place position, but he'll definitely come out with a top 5 here tonight. But now that's just some bad luck right there.
Brent Keefe also passes by him as he'll chug past the start and finish line. To say the least, the fireworks went off at Bristol. You hear them there. And they went off on the racetrack. A wild one for the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. As Malik Ray comes away with the victory, let's look at your unofficial results. Winning by 10.4 seconds to Brandon Holder. Then everyone else is a lap down, 2 laps down, in fact, or more. Everett F. Lane, Brent Keith, Doug Lemons finished 2 laps down for the rest of your top 5. Sean M. Ryan finishes in 6th, followed by Bobby Eberhardt, who had a lot of tumbles through the standings tonight. Ryan Lange, able to get repairs done, 7 laps down, finishes 8th. Mike Bruno also got repairs to finish 9th. And then it's a long way towards laps turn, 33 laps down, Timmy Logwood Jr. in 10th. And then 56 laps down afterwards in the top 20, Gregory Thompson, Kerry Allen Stewart, Marshall Berry. You can see the rest of the drivers in the attrition tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. Here for the Espeed Contender Series as we look at the rest of your results. Just an absolutely unbelievable race once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Isn't that right here? As we'll take a quick break on RaceSpotTV. You're watching the Espeed Contender Series. Post-race coverage coming up for the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. Stick around.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. Oh, oh, oh. So start igniting ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
It was a wild one for the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. As you're tuning in for the post-race coverage on RaceSpotTV for tonight's coverage for the Espeed Contender Series, Justin Prince alongside Davis Richards, Hugo Weeds doing the producing for tonight's action. It was a heck of a 200 laps to say the very least, Davis. Your thoughts on this at this point after what was, I don't even know how to describe this one, a wild race to say the absolute least tonight.
Yeah, absolutely dominating performance by the 20 of Malik Ray, able to finish this race out and take the win, and that number 20 machine, and able to do it without having 11 incidences as well, as we didn't talk about that the whole entire night. But yeah, he was absolutely able to dominate the performance, and we've got the sponsor interview as well with Paul Bliss.
Paul Bliss now waiting to present today's virtual trophy to your race winner, Malik Ray. Paul Bliss from Lowline Racing joins us along with Malik Ray. Paul, you have the floor.
All right. Well, on behalf of Lowline Racing, I want to congratulate you on the win tonight. It was dominating fashion to almost lap the entire field. I want to congratulate you, and I want to thank everybody in the series for participating, putting on a great race tonight.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Thank you very much, Paul Bliss, for the special words. And now, it was a special win, I think, for Ray tonight because he had the fastest truck by far. Malik, how do you feel, and how the heck did you do it to be able to have a pace like that every single lap tonight?
That was pretty fun. I like short tracks like that, and my team they made a pretty good set this week, and I just made sure that I didn't get any damage when I was passing people, and yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, how did the truck feel to you as the race went on, though? Because at times you mixed it up in terms of two tires. You were able to ride the low line, the best out of everyone all night tonight. Also used the high line tonight. How did the truck feel to you, and when did you, in your opinion, feel the most comfortable? Know that I'm in my rhythm, I can pull away and take this race over.
It felt pretty good the entire time. Whenever I took two, I made sure that I didn't take gas, so I didn't get too loose. But for the most part, it felt like pretty good the whole race. I enjoyed that a lot. The truck was never loose, never tight. It was perfect the entirety of the run.
That's a heck of a setup, I have to say, for sure, in the number 20 machine, sponsored by Kick-Ass Beef Jerky. But next race will be a throwback race, the Throwback Weekend at Darlington. That's going to be an interesting race as well. What kind of preparation have you done for that so far in terms of the truck, in terms of maybe even maybe a special paint scheme, maybe?
We're not gonna have a special paint scheme, okay. But as far as like the preparation, me and my team, we've already started working on a set. We've started, I think, with Michigan, and we're gonna go from there and see how that works out.
So you already started on off. That is a lot of preparation, again, for that next race. That's for sure. Anyone you want to thank before we let you get going?
Just Kick-Ass Beef Jerky for hopping on board as a sponsor, and JD Laird for making all my paint schemes, and you guys for broadcasting. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Malik. Congratulations on the victory. Malik Ray dominates his way to a victory at Bristol. And with that shifts things over to our next interview with Davis Richards. He's standing by with Brandon Holder from America Motorsports, who's able to hold on for a second spot. The only our driver on the lead lap, mind you. Davis?
Hey, Brandon Holder, this is Davis Richards up here in the RaceSpotTV booth, man. Watched you all night. You're able to keep that truck fairly clean with the last truck on the lead lap, but still a second place finish, so nonetheless, pretty good finish out there tonight. Man, I've seen a lot of drivers, and their trucks were just spinning out. I'm assuming the truck was very loose, but how are you able to combat those issues throughout the 200 laps here at Bristol?
We were on the other side of the spectrum. I was pretty tight. I couldn't run the bottom to run with Malik. He's super, super fast.
Yeah, super fast is right, too. And, I was wondering, too, if any drivers, because we brought that up and that topic up, this is an open setup race. I would figure if the drivers here that practiced, then they'd know, hey, the trucks here are super loose. I can combat my setup and make it go another way, too. But if you set up it tight, was it running good at the beginning of the race, and it just as the grip built up and the track state changed, did it just go plowing tight on you throughout the runs?
Yeah, it started off pretty neutral, and it went to the tight side, which I think I went the wrong way on an adjustment. But it is what it is. Glad to finish second here. This was a race that I wasn't looking forward to because of all the carnage.
Yeah, but with all the carnage, though, still able to pull out a second-place finish. What does this do for your momentum going into the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think we've been fast all year. We've just been in some bad luck, kind of like Powell got into tonight. Sometimes you just get wiped out. And speaking of practice a while ago, I don't think enough of the guys practice, so it is what it is.
It is, but nonetheless, still a great finish with that pitboxes.com. Man, I've watched your truck all season. How did you get that metallic finish on there?
Lots of practice.
Well, hey, before I let you go, you got anyone out there you want to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank Kevin Steed with Steed Brothers Trucking. He's came on here the last few races and been a big kick of support for us and done a lot for me. Sim Racing Apps, pitboxes.com, and all the guys, American Motorsports. Week after week, put out good sets. I think we're building some momentum for the chase. Intensity Motorsports has really helped with that, so I want to thank them guys too, and thank y'all for the broadcast.
Oh yes, sir. And yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you up and see if I can buy one of those paint schemes and get a custom one made. But hey, nonetheless, we'll see you out there next week, Brandon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
That was Brandon Holder coming away second as the only our driver on the lead lap. Next driver is 2 laps down and gained a spot on the final lap after bad luck from Doug Lemons. We'll hear from him in a little bit. Everett F. Lane from Lowline Racing now joins us here in the booth. Everett, how are you feeling after this race?
Wow, what a race, Justin. It was brutal, but it was Bristol, baby.
Well, it was Bristol, baby, as you ended up still managing to get yourself to third spot. It was a bit of a yo-yo ride for you tonight. Talk about some of the struggles that you might have had as everything else was going on around you, whether it was some of the chaos, whether it was the damage on the front end. In fact, after the pace car situation with the delayed green, talk about the stuff, all the stuff really you had to deal with tonight.
Yeah, that's a big list, Justin. But yeah, we started out with a great truck, and you know, we just wanted to buy our time, try to stay out of incidents, and keep the incident count down. And you know, the restart was a crazy. It went and it stopped. I ran in the back of Bruno. I apologized to him. I got some nose damage, but coming out tonight and running at Bristol, it's a lot of fun, but it can also be a headache for a lot of drivers also. But the 24 ran really well tonight. I was hoping to finish up in the top 3. We did that. A win would have been nice, but Malik was pretty quick. We had a fun night tonight. I'm glad to bring home the 24 for low line tonight in the top 3.
How was it managing all of this, too, to make sure you were on the right strategy, had the track position, were in the proper line, really, to keep your moving on forward throughout the race?
Yeah, the high line was where I'd like to be on the restarts. It was real tricky pitting. We had a little issue with the pitting early, so we worked that out, and just had to be careful on the starts. And you know, with 4 fresh tires, you could go into the first corner just like, you know, flying there like a, excuse my French, but like a bat out of hell, and just hang on to it and try to gain a lot of positions early with 4 fresh tires. But it was a fun night for the 24 low line racing machine, and I can't wait. We get a week off and come back to Darlington.
And shifting over to that, what has the preparation been like for you and your team to make sure you got the setup as well, with just so happens to also be a throwback week too?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of nice looking cars out there in a couple of weeks. We're going to be working hard on getting something up there to keep these cars and these trucks running up front, and see if we can't keep finishing in the top 5.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I definitely want to thank Low Line Racing, Espeed, RaceSpotTV. You guys do a great job up here, and I want to thank my crew chief who helps me out and keeps me level-headed out here. And it's been a pleasure racing over here at Espeed.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you here in the RaceSpotTV booth. Everett, congratulations on the 3rd place tonight.
Thank you, Justin.
Everett F. Lane coming away 3rd tonight. And now that shifts over to Brent Keefe, who finished 4th for Glove Box Racing. Davis Richards is standing by with him. Davis?
Hey Brent, it's Davis up here in the RaceSpotTV booth. Seen you had some early troubles there, still had a fast car, very consistent the entire night, stayed around that top 10 area. What was going through your mind throughout these 200 laps here at Bristol?
Well, basically here at Bristol, like everybody else probably tell you or agree with, it's you got to miss wrecks as you get into lap traffic, or you got to keep track position. So basically that's what we're trying to do, and just run hard when you had to, and then as the tires, everybody's tires equalize, you know, the top probably 6-7 guys are basically just strung out, and then you have to make an adjustment here and there in the pits and then start all over again, you know, basically. But it got fortunate, missed majority of it, but glad it's over.
Well, what were you thinking when we seen that last caution of the night with about a lap and a half of carnage going around behind you and in front of you?
I was looking in my mirror just trying to get going. Like, oh man, it was just dominoes. So, yep, I was waiting for it. I thought we weren't going to have something like that, and then there it is. But we got kind of lucky on that. All the damage is basically in the rear, left rear corner. So, I mean, it drove decent, but everybody else, you know, that was around me, you know, immediately got it worse. So kind of lucked out there. And then Doug blew his motor, and I caught him. So, but yeah, it was overall. It's Bristol. I mean, it's as cliche as it gets, but it's Bristol. I mean, what else can you say?
That's pretty much all you can say. Then it's Bristol, but hey, nonetheless, been a good race out there. I mean, Malik Ray dominated most of it, but still able to come out with a 4th place finish. Started 6th on the night, come away 2 laps down. I think that's probably the only times that anyone's going to be happy finishing 2 laps down, but still inside that top 5.
Yeah,
but
had to get some fixed in the pits and then get back on the track. But yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah, and before we let you go, you got anyone out there you want to thank?
Oh, absolutely. All my guys at Club Box. Keith Stewart, for all the work he does every week. You know, he puts a lot of work, a lot of effort into all us knuckleheads out there, and he's pretty tolerant, so I thank him for that. And you guys at RaceSpot, Lowline for sponsoring the race. It's nice to see you guys come on board and sponsor some races. I know we got some open dates yet. It'd be nice somebody else jumped up and sponsored a couple more races. That'd be great. And Doug Perry from Express Motorsports. We test all week with those guys, and it pays off more than it doesn't. So I gotta thank them guys and get a week off, and we're back to Bristol. I'd like to before we go, I know it's a throwback race. We got a majority of you guys signed up for their throwback paints, but we need a handful more guys. So if you're listening, sign up, get your truck painted.
Hey, well, you heard it from the 32 of Brent Keith with Glove Box Racing. If you got a throwback paint scheme, throw it on there for the next race at Darlington. And hey, if you're looking to get your brand out of there, they still got open spots for sponsorships. So jump on board, hit up Keith Stewart or even Brent Keith, and they'll set you in the right direction. But hey, thank you, Brent, and congratulations on your top 5 finish.
Also, thanks, guys. Also, $25 for the best paint. I think Matt's going to judge that with his guys. So $25 for the best paint at Darlington. So let's do it.
Wait, there's another one right there. $25 and you get the best paint. So, but again, congratulations, and we'll see you out there at Darlington. And stay away from that wall at Darlington because it'll come out and bite you.
Thanks, guys.
That was Brent Keith finishing off 4th tonight. Able to go on to gain that spot on the last lap after the bad luck, to Doug Lemons. He joins us here in the broadcast booth. He had the luck of a yo-yo, to say the least, in the number 70. Doug, how are you feeling about it being able to salvage a top 5?
I feel real good about that. I shouldn't have been there. My truck was pretty messed up.
In terms of that, because your truck blew up on, I believe, coming to the white flag, in fact, how damaged was your truck and how was it handling before it went into a puff of smoke coming to the white flag?
Well, actually, it's a testament to the tins that Brent and I build that it ran as well as it did, as messed up as it was. So it was running fairly decent. I didn't have anything for the top 2 guys, but well, I never got a chance to run with them having a clean truck, so I might have been able to.
Yeah, that is unfortunate there for sure. With all of that, how are you able to keep composed with all this? Because you went up and down the order with, I believe at one point you were down into the 20s, I believe, in terms of the running order, and then it was able to come away again to as high as 2nd tonight. How was it to try and manage all of that while everything was going on around you?
Well, it was pretty tough. I had 10 incidents on lap 67, and I thought for sure there is no way that I'm going to make it to the end of this race. But I just gave everybody a wide berth and did what I could do and wound up in 5th.
With that, the next race is the throwback race week at Darlington. How are you feeling about that for you and your team, and do you have something maybe special that might be seen on the track then?
Oh, maybe. Got a good paint job coming. Like Darlington, done real well there before, so we'll see.
Keeping it as simple as that, not trying to share any secrets for sure, Rob, but with that, is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your top 5 tonight?
Just my team and everybody that I work with, Keith Stewart, you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for the time, Doug. Congratulations on the top 5.
Thanks much.
That was Doug Lemons finishing 5th tonight in the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. Davis, your final thoughts before we sign things off here tonight from Bristol, Tennessee.
Hey, we'll get out there and we'll go to Darlington and we'll start this thing all over again. Those playoffs are looming even closer here. Malik Gray coming off with a dominating performance, and boy did he need it too after 2 weeks with straight DNS. So he definitely needed this finish too. Sean Powell coming away with a tough finish, but nonetheless, great showing by these boys, and we'll get set up and we'll do it again, do a little bit of throwback action at Darlington.
Just 2 races left, including Darlington in the regular season. Darlington, sponsored by Glovebox Racing for the Throwback Weekend, as you heard Brent Keefe discuss. And then we head to the Brickyard for the final race of the regular season. That is going to also be a thrilling one. Those are on September the 5th and September the 12th, so there is an off week for August 29th for the Espeed Contender Series. But it's time to say goodbye from the virtual Bristol, Tennessee on RaceSpotTV. For Davis Richards and Hugo Ruiz, and for the rest of our sponsors, I'm Justin Brent saying thank you very much for tuning in for tonight's action of the Espeed Contender Series and the Thunder Valley 200 presented by Lowline Racing. You've been watching the Espeed Contender Series and RaceSpotTV. Be sure to tune in once again in early September. Thank you very much and have a wonderful night.